and Prince George for awards. Like the little nigga standing at the bus stop scared cause he fears that he's near to a gun pop. Headphones in his head disappears from this world for your peers in the realm of the hip hop. Just watch how it turn his whole life around. When everybody tried to tell him he was hellbound, but he smiles now knowing he's the reason for the powwow. Bow down to the brother on the cloud. Okay, that's what they say when they see me on the stage. Hitting on the bass, take a rave in the rave. So I'm living here right now, like it's my last day. Hey, mind open, eyes closed, my journey, my road, my drive, my goal. I think they ready for me. I think they calling for me. I think they waiting for me. I hear them calling. I hear them calling for me. Break down, down, down. Oh no, oh no. Break down, down, down. Oh no, oh no. Mind open, eyes closed, my journey, my road, my drive, my goal. I think they ready.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Higgins Fitness and More show. Yo, it is raining out there. I almost fell, slipped twice. Slip and fell, same thing, because they was both about to happen. But I'm all right, and I'm here. And today we're going to talk about a lot of different things. I got some updates for you guys, some good ones. No bad ones, nothing bad at all going on here today. So sit back, stay tuned. We're going to keep it moving right along, all right? So today we are talking about stress, okay? We're talking about stress and the mental aspect of it, and, of course, how it gets in us, how we don't deal with it, what are the long-term effects of it causing to our body. We're going to talk about all that and actually a bit more of why, okay, or the science behind it also, and what we need to do to, or what we can do to better our situations, better our lives, and all that good stuff. So we do have some hell of updates coming up right now, but we're gonna go ahead and go right into it. We are down onto our last 5 episodes of the season, so please keep tuned in because they're getting action packed, man. I'm telling you guys. I'm gonna just go ahead and say this real quick. One, we have on the 19th. I know you guys heard me talk about it, but it's going down. The chef will be here on the 18th. Chef Chris Arnold, he's over there at Infuse Restaurant in Temple Hills, Maryland, and he is laying it out for us on the 19th. The 19th, Friday night, the 19th at 7, from 7 to 10. He's laying out a buffet-style spread of all kind of vegan treats. I mean, he got bratwurst and Beyond Burgers and shrimp. He's got vegan lasagna, mac and cheese. Man, we're going down there. We're going to eat well. He guaranteed everybody's going to leave full. Tickets are actually on sale right now at Eventbrite. I'll be sending the link out very soon or later on today on social media so that you all can go ahead and get those tickets now because I don't want you to miss out, okay? Get them now because I know they're going to go quick, all right? And there is limited seating, so go ahead, get those tickets for that, all right? So moving right along, go ahead into the mental aspect of it because we need to do it. Remember, the first episode, I shared with you guys, I told you, if you don't come from the mental aspect first, if you don't have the mind right, everything else is going to fail. No matter what you do, it's going to be 100% right. And this is not just me saying it. Today, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about some of the hormone, a major hormone that causes stress into the body, all right? So y'all keep watching. Now, let's take a look at this quick video. It's going to start our discussion today, and we'll get into more detail as soon as we get back. Take a look.
Did you know that stress makes you fat? Stress hormones actually play a big role in obesity and diabetes. Chronic stress increases this hormone called cortisol. That's the stress hormone, the main stress hormone. And chronically high levels of cortisol cause high blood sugar, they cause high cholesterol, they cause depression, they even cause dementia. And they promote the accumulation of that nasty belly fat we so commonly see in patients with insulin resistance or diabetes. Too much cortisol also causes muscle loss, and it interferes with thyroid and growth hormones, and it really affects your sleep, all of which promote weight gain. Sleep deprivation actually increases your appetite and your sugar cravings. In fact, they did a study of healthy young men, and they deprive them of just 2 hours of sleep a night, and their blood levels of ghrelin, which is the hunger hormone, went way up, and their blood levels of PYY, which is the brake on the appetite, went down. And that made them crave and eat more sugar and carbs and all these foods that were driving them to have weight gain and diabetes. So getting enough quality sleep is really important in the treatment of diabetes, and it can help you prevent weight gain, diabetes, and heart disease. And also finding ways to push the pause button is critical to reduce those stress hormones.
And coming right on back in here too. So as you guys heard, if you didn't hear at home, if you missed anything in that part, it was just a brief synopsis kind of really of what happens. And that's basically the entering of the catabolic hormone cortisol, right? So cortisol is released, of course, when our body is stressed. When our body is stressed out from a mental aspect, that's just what happens. Cortisol comes in, and it does all kind of funky stuff to our system, to our metabolism, to the way our body works, causing muscle loss. So even if you think like you're stressed out, but you lift weights all the time, you may have a problem with actually reaching your goals and reaching those high gains if, again, you're not taking care of your body. Like he said, pressing the pause button, stopping smelling the roses, whatever you got to do, right? So muscle loss, we have sleep deprivation, which is crazy, and then increased appetite as well. So all these things are coming into play. It's going to definitely cause weight gain, cause obesity. He also mentioned that those are triggers for causing diabetes and, high blood, in which we talked about 2 weeks ago with those things. So keep those things in mind. Cortisol or being stressed out, no matter how physically fit you are or how much you're working out or trying to, if you're still not, like, the brain is a muscle, okay? So you got to take care of that one too. Really. Give it the proper rest. Just like when you're working out, you have to have rest time and to recover. It's the same thing here. Or this cortisol, whether you like it or not, it's going to take place. Whether we like it or not, in life, things are going to take place if we don't take care of our mental, okay? So these are kind of the things, and this is the major, major thing that causes stress. And our engineer back here, got our buddy, said he took a class called Stressed Out. Yeah, it says stressed out. He said it was all about cortisol. Why? Because that's what causes the whole breakdown in our bodies, right? So we definitely want to take a pause on all that. My phone's going off. I got all kinds of things going on here. But anyway, cortisol, it's the bad thing. So what we're going to do now, I wanted you guys to get a bigger picture of cortisol and how it works. And I don't have, we're going to have one next season, but a dry erase board. My handwriting is messed up anyway, so I provided you guys with another video. We're going to take a look at this, and we're going to talk about exactly how it breaks down into the body, all right? Take a look.
Okay, so I want to talk about this hormone called cortisol. Cortisol in the body is the hormone that reacts to all types of stress. So if you experience physical stress, mental stress, losses, trauma, maybe poor eating, watching the news, pregnancy, menopause, a fight with your spouse, divorce, that's what triggers cortisol. So cortisol then adapts the body and changes the body to adapt to all this stress, okay? So on this picture right here, you can see in SIBA, these are all the reactions of body stresses: inflammation, brain fog, cholesterol, ulcers, diabetes, allergies, asthma, sleeping problems. Now, what's very fascinating is all these symptoms are really reactions to stress, but medically they're treated as a disease when they're really symptoms of high cortisol, which you could see right over here. This is high cortisol. These are all the symptoms of high cortisol. Yeah, interesting, isn't it? So what we're going to do is we're not going to treat all these symptoms. We're just going to help rid the byproduct of what stress has left in the body. So when you're 18, you have very little stress. As years go on, stress accumulates from things like, college, having 2 children, then having a divorce, and then stuck with the 2 children by yourself, and then we got menopause, all these different things. See, stress accumulates. So here you are, little stress, and now we got a big stress. So what happens is in the adrenal gland, which is making these hormones, what's interesting is it does not have an off switch. So you remember on that graph we showed you, that tall dial represents the on switch. The small dial represents the off switch. But with the adrenal, it only has an on, it does not have an off switch. So what does that mean? It means that your body over time has so much cortisol or so much stress that this is stuck on. So part of the adaptation to this hormone is belly fat. So if you try to exercise, you try to do sit-ups, eat better, it won't touch it because this is a dominating hormone. Okay? So this is why people can't lose weight, is because of the accumulated stress that builds up. And they don't realize that, number one, stress accumulates, and they realize that it affects the hormones, and they don't realize that this hormone is a dominating hormone, and that can nullify all of the other fat burning hormones. Okay, so I want to talk about this hormone called cortisol.
Shut up! He did not tell me it was coming right back that soon. I wasn't ready. It's okay. That's how we do here. It's live. This is live broadcasting, guys. This is what happens. It's okay. I was just reaching anyway. I'm glad I wasn't like picking my nose or something, you know. But anyway, so if you guys can at home, let's just a little recap here of what we just saw there. So as we saw, one. And actually, we have one of the questions today, fitness questions related to belly fat. So this is a good one too, right? So cortisol actually acts as the dominating stressor, dominating factor, hormone within the body, right? And we notice how he used that. I'm glad he used that example as it was the bigger rock, and all the other rocks were these life things that are happening to us: the marriage, divorce, kids, school, job, stress, everything that was there, everything through life, traumatic events, loss, deaths, everything, right? So what happens is, and that's what they said too there in the video, the stressors build up, right? And so because cortisol doesn't have that off switch, it just stays there and it accumulates, okay? And yes, it is one of the big hormones that causes us to gain weight, and it causes us to hold weight, meaning it makes it harder for us to lose the weight. Okay, so if you ever saw someone kind of stressed out, then going into the next factor, all of the symptoms that he read that were causes or effects of the stress hormone cortisol, right? So you're stressed out, and then what happens? I mean, and you see this all the time. The body starts breaking down. I don't know if you ever been really stressed, and all of a sudden you got a headache. You know, then your stomach is hurting, and then, you know, something else is failing. And then over time, more and more issues happen. So if you see someone has been stressed out for years, they typically have some other ailments going on along with them, right? So this is how we take a look at actually what's going on the inside of us. Things that happen just don't go away. All right, so if we don't take that time to really look at and deal with the issues that don't go away, press the pause button, stop and smell the roses, try to enjoy life, try to make life enjoyable. Sometimes life isn't enjoyable, but we have to make it. We are the creators, so we have to put forth the effort too. It's not going to unless, of course, the mind changes. You see how this whole thing works? In the video, he talked about if these stressors are still here, they're like the way to cure this, right, is not to you know, what happens is you go to the doctor, they give you medications, they treat you for diabetes and high blood pressure and blah, blah, blah. Because we know when we get stressed out and they say, oh, yeah, it's going to raise my blood pressure. Or say somebody's mom was already on high blood pressure medication, right? And then little Johnny got locked up or did something stupid or some life change happened to little Johnny. Now her pressure is up all the time. All of a sudden it's not manageable with just the medication, right? I'm using examples, but this is all real life, and this is how it happens. We don't take care of our stuff. It continues to pile up. It's also tearing us down on the inside, okay? All kind of other ailments, and they named them, okay? Adaptation to stress. Our bodies adapt to stress, and that's one of the big things within a positive and a negative aspect. If we're adapting to stress with a catabolic chemical or hormone, yes, because it breaks down. Breaks down. So, I got a weird look when I said that in the studio. I was like, what? No. But yes, it breaks down of the chemicals anyway. You threw me all off with that look. No, just play. No. Again, live TV. So when that happens, that's what it does. We hold everything, belly fat, it stores there, hard to get rid of. You're in the gyms, trying to do this, trying to do that, wondering why you're not losing weight. Bam, cortisol, big problem. Okay, so as I said, to go into treating it was not so much to medicate, of course, but to deal with those stressors, removing those stressors, and learning how to deal with things so that we can physically actually turn that off. And sometimes, they say medication will help too because it is that chemical and that chemical balance. Some people do. Some people may need that mental health expert to advise them accordingly with that if it gets that serious. And that's no problem because it's better than just walking around here as a member in society and tearing stuff up, and it's how you wondering why people fighting each other in the streets for no reason, and mad in line at the store or something, all of that good stuff. This is all effects of stress. This is all effects of this cortisol. Okay, but this is all key root going down to not dealing with whatever traumas we have come across in life, thinking that it's something wrong when life is always going to be life, but we have to take care of us, right? If we go outside and slip and fall and break our elbow or arm, we go to the hospital, we get a cast on it, we wait and we heal. Traumatic events happen to us and we don't take care of our psychology, right? We don't take care of the psyche at all. We don't take care of the mental. So we run around here with bleeding hearts and bleeding minds, and then cause ourselves other health problems that shorten not only the quality of life, but how long we live as well, okay? So all of this stuff happens in this adaptation, in this process, in this adaptation. We want our bodies to adjust the proper way with stress. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in the closing, okay? But for right now, this is what we're talking about here is really how we need to deal with stress and stress in life and what it does to the body. So again, the cortisol is going to stay there. We have to deal with those life things to reduce the cortisol. It's built up. It's been in us. We have to release. Okay? So I know that some of you are like, okay, well, it causes this and this heart disease and causes all these other things to flow. Right? I wanted you guys to look at more of an extreme of not taking care of the psychological aspect of health and trauma that comes into our lives. Okay, this is the bigger aspect we haven't really touched on. We've touched on how it brings us diabetes and high blood pressure and all of this stuff. But here's another one that is a lot more, well, all are relevant, but here's another one that we definitely need to spend some time with next season, all right? Take a look at this video.
Hi, I'm Emily Rosen, Director of the Institute for the Psychology of Eating. Today we're going to talk about weight gain and trauma. The Adverse Childhood Experience Study was one of the largest studies on the long-term effects of childhood trauma. They found that there was a strong and direct link between early childhood traumatic experiences and addiction, mood disorders, health issues of all kinds, and high-risk behavior. the more traumatic experiences someone had, the greater correlation to health problems and addictions. This may come as no surprise to many. But is there a link between weight gain and trauma? The simple answer is yes. A 2007 study in Pediatrics Journal found that girls who were sexually abused were twice as likely to be obese by age 24. For some, however, sexual, emotional, or physical trauma can lead to eating disorders without any significant weight gain. For those with trauma histories, weight gain can be the result of high amounts of cortisol in the body and a function of a physiologic boundary that the body creates when the conscious mind cannot directly address a traumatic issue. For one person, weight may be a barrier to unwanted sexual attention. For another person, weight can signify that they matter and deserve to be seen. For another still, weight can be a way to feel less vulnerable to physical or emotional attacks. For people with weight gain and trauma, it can be important to understand how to resolve that trauma that the body may be holding on to. Once there's an understanding of where it's coming from, we can increase functioning and achieve a balance of weight and stress hormones. Many trauma experts will tell you that trauma is not necessarily what happens to you, it's what gets stuck in your nervous system as the result of a lack of resource to properly digest the experience. In other words, trauma is not just what comes in, it's the lack of ability to get it out of our nervous systems. Trauma doesn't have to dictate a lifetime of unwanted weight gain or misery. The idea is that when we understand the underlying mechanism of the weight gain, we can more directly meet our needs. There is an intelligence to the body holding on to weight or an unconscious boundary or protection. The body is simply trying to meet needs that our conscious mind may not know how to handle. When we can utilize adequate support and thank our bodies for holding a boundary we may not have known how to set, we can start to take over that task consciously and relieve our bodies of that job. Learning how to self-soothe and regulate our nervous system in a constructive rather than destructive manner helps us stay in our social engagement systems and out of the traumatic activation. Removing toxic relationships and limiting unnecessary stress is a good way to support our nervous system to remain within a window of tolerance. Practicing good sleep hygiene and making sure we don't take caffeine or other stimulating substances before bedtime is another way to support our bodies towards balance. Seeing a therapist or coach, journaling, walking, doing yoga or other mind-body practices, taking a bath, getting a massage from a trusted source, and eating nourishing foods are all ways to soothe constructively. As we do this, we may begin to eliminate the need for excess foods and feed our psyches in a way that's truly nourishing.
Welcome back. That was fun. Well, it wasn't funny. She just ended it on a funny note. We're going to talk about it. I'm glad she kind of threw that little humor in there because that was a little bit of real information there, right? So just to know that, that, wow, that video was real, right? That gave us 3 minutes of, that was 3 minutes of some real information, right? Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, so, and if you missed it there, it kind of broke down basically understanding that obesity or the cortisol release and then causing obesity, but those self-soothing mechanisms that we do and how, it's not necessarily what happens, the trauma that happens to us, those things that go in, but the lack of the ability to then release that, not only from ourselves, but from the nervous system itself, right? Because that is internally what's affected by the cortisol and then by the stress that comes in or the traumatic events that come into our lives. So, just knowing that right there from a scientific standpoint should help us kind of take a different approach to how we address mental health, how we address traumas that happen to us. This here is not just like, oh, it happened and never mind, and we go off somewhere. But if we don't get it out of our nervous system, learning those healthy ways to self-soothe instead of self-loathing, if you will, in different ways with addictive personality or addictive traits and personality traits that we pick up. All of those things are what we do to not want to deal in a certain way. It makes us I'll just do this instead of dealing with whatever is going on, but it's not leaving because it's in there in our nervous system until we do something with it. And an adverse effect of that is not when we're not doing anything with it, then we're causing more damage to our bodies from a chemical standpoint, from the inside out. Okay, so from the scientific standpoint, like literally within our metabolic rate, we're slowing it down. We're breaking down our tissue. We're losing muscle. We're gaining weight. We're causing more health problems. And that trauma is probably how we perceived it in our head. Not taking it from anything that happened to us or anything like that. Trauma is trauma. Things are real and mess us up mentally. But again, it's how we handle it. It's how we approach it. Are we self-soothing or self-loathing, or are we taking it upon a healthy way to get this out of our nervous system, okay? Some people say release it from the universe and release the power from the situation. It is all saying the same thing, okay? We're all saying the same thing. Basically, okay, I'm gonna just be real blunt about this one. Take care of your shit, okay? Because if you don't, somebody else's will. And if you don't, it's going to eat you alive. Not anybody else. Because probably the person that, if the trauma came from another person, that person's probably living their life. Or cortisol's kicking their ass too. Okay? So it's going to be how you approach yourself and respect yourself and your spirit and your own energy or your nervous system, however you want to look at it, okay? How it respects the inner you, all of that, because it's going to affect you whether you're knowing it or not. So those other health issues is what we want to prevent, okay? Again, changing the mindset behind it, because it's cortisol, you can't stop it. It's coming in whether you want it to or not. Okay, but this is the effects of it. If you guys ever watch the 600-Pound Life, that show on, I think it's OWN Network or something like that, but or one of the networks, every one of those individuals had some traumatic event happen to them before they became 600 pounds. So it wasn't like, they just became 600 pounds. Every one of them had some life journey that got messed up to them, okay? Whether it was a death or, lost a child or all kind of stuff, right? It all affects people. Everything affects people differently. But this is the end result. If it doesn't break you down, maybe it doesn't come in weight gain, but maybe it comes in addictive personality traits, right? Maybe you become an addict of some sort, Again, it's still not respecting the health in the body, okay? Or the mind, okay? Because the mind just tells us what to do. So it's showing us what to do, and we're doing it, right? And one of the biggest treatments, cures, okay, for this type of thing and cortisol breakdown and release of stress is exercise. Exercise. And I have to say it, a plant-based living, okay? Ridding yourself of all of the other artificial chemicals that we're putting into our body. All of those things have an effect on us and what we do. I can't stress that enough to you guys. I think you all know that, but that's what happens. All right. This is the long-term effect. These things will break us down. Okay. Stress happens to the body in two in two ways. So, and I will share the funny part of that we were laughing at in here was just the point that, she said one of the safer or healthier ways of coping with this stress was that you have an option of getting a massage by, what did it say, by someone you trust or a trusted individual. So yeah, you don't want random you don't want random people touching on you if you choose to use massage as a technique of de-stressing. Okay, you can keep that technique, but remember people's energy, okay, that goes into you through touch is also going to affect that nervous system or the energy of yourself overall. All right. So yeah, make sure it's a trusted person, licensed, bonded. If it's a professional, okay, if it's somebody at home or that you still want them to be good folks, fulfilling them, massaging you and things of that nature, and trying to help you release the stress in a healthy way. I am stressing a healthy way. All right, guys? Because I don't want you to run out there like, Seal said, I just need a massage to release this stress, and you get out there letting people feel on you. We're not going to do all that today, all right? So we're going to keep it back to what we needed to be on. All right, so proper stress to the body. Here's a better or funnier way of looking at stress to the body to build it, right? And this is more of an anabolic method or the build up of it, right? So one of the fitness questions, we got like two. I'm going to give you guys two today. And they're kind of related to the same thing before we close out, right? So one question was, and it was a serious question, and I don't take any question lightly because there's always a way to answer it. All right, and there's probably always an answer of some sort. Okay, so one of the questions was today, how many sit-ups do I need to do for a six-pack? So I said, well, okay, how can I answer this in a way that gives him the most honest answer without, going too off in my own head, like, what? No, so... Here it is, six-pack. Everybody wants a six-pack, and I think I've probably answered this question before. Here we go. There's no determined number. There's no calculation to say you need to do this many for this amount of sit-ups. Okay. I will say that there's other methods to trying to achieve a six-pack. If you want that abdominal area to be well-defined, there's a few things you need to do. First, the biggest thing, leave your red meat and your pork alone. Like, it's just going to sit in your stomach. If you're eating meat, it's going to be a little harder. If you're on a plant-based diet, you're halfway there already. And I'm just saying that your body is going to always just flush out what it doesn't need in a more timely fashion. So you're not going to have a lot of extra waste in your abdominal area. So therefore, you won't have a hard time obtaining that six-pack if you don't already have it. Okay? So sit-ups, yes, is a method of addressing the abdominal area or building it up. You want to be able to do sit-ups, yes. Body weight is an excellent source for that and gaining that endurance. Okay, but if we want to define more, then I would suggest adding a resistance training, adding abdominal exercises that actually have some weight on them. Okay, so like if you're doing a bunch of if you're doing deadlifts or you're doing something that contracts that abdominal wall more than just your own weight. So for example, you're doing a deadlift that weighs 100, 200 pounds. Well, it'll at least have to be 100, but 100 pounds, 200 pounds, then that weight, okay, is then applied to those muscles that much more, okay? So, which means that you're going to define yourself way quicker, all right? And gain that true strength. The sit-ups will help with the endurance, may help with some posture as well, okay? So, though, not saying that those are bad, but adding resistance to anything is going to define it quicker. Plain and simple, it's just like that, all right? So, so the other question, though, definitely. A lady was concerned about her stomach. She says she thinks that it's getting smaller because of the inches that she knows they lost, but she feels like it's just shifting more into the front or to the front of her body, okay? So weight will come off, especially with the abdominal area. It will come off from the sides first, And you'll notice it from the sides first. That's where everybody's going to notice it first, okay? So kind of that muffin top-ish feel, right? You're going to see that kind of go away first, okay? Because it's in the reverse aspect. When you first, if you have a flat stomach and you start to pick up weight, the first thing you do is get the little pouch, right? And then it goes up. Then you got the little roll over the pouch, right? And then your sides come out that way, right? So it's in reverse. Your sides are going to go in. And then for ladies, your chest is going to sit up a little more. You're going to feel a little more space in here, you know, and then it's going to come around to the front. And so it may look like it's all in the front at some point as it's coming down, but eventually that'll come down too. So don't be alarmed. And she actually is lifting and doing some kettlebell routines and some body fat, some EPOC cardio and throwing in there with her. So everything is coming along great. Clients are great. Down here with the six-pack. And like I said, this was the good part. I'm not skipping around a little bit, but bear with me here. This is what I'm talking about, the good part of stress. Meaning the more stress you add to your body on a physical aspect, meaning that you have resistance training. The resistance is the stress, okay? That is what makes the muscle grow. Yes, it tears it down at first, but then you come back after the rest period. Okay, you come back stronger. So example, for on the physical aspect, you are lifting, trying to get bigger arms. The more you lift, the heavier you lift, right? So you may hit them one day, you lift. Then the next day, you're lifting a little bit more because you're increasing the weight, right? So you're increasing the demand, you're increasing the stress on you, right? So then by Friday, say you work that out again. Oh my gosh, you've burned the muscle out. Then you take a day or two off. When you come back, you have rested. You've burned down the muscle. Then you rest. Now you're stronger. Okay? Do y'all see that pattern there? You break it down. You deal with the stress. You face it head on. You pick it up. You lift the weight. Then you have your rest. And then you come back stronger. That physical aspect is the same. Okay? As the mental, meaning life is going to happen. The only thing is we don't have the option there in life, meaning we have to pick up the weight. When we go into the gym, it's our decision whether we pick up the weight or not. It's our decision what area of the body we work on, right? For the most part, it's our decision. It's not our decision when things in life happen that are outside of our control and that have nothing to do with us, right? But we still have to pick up the weight. And well, if we don't pick up the weight, we don't get stronger. So if we don't deal with whatever the situation is, we don't grow, okay? Not only do we not grow, we hold on and our bodies pick up that cortisol. So then we've just invited something infectious into our bodies, into our minds, and have torn us down, right? Flip side, we actually pick up the weight. We go and we pick up the weight. We deal with the issue, meaning we deal with the issue. We get stronger. We take a little rest, regroup. We come back stronger. It's the same aspect because the mind follows the body. The mind follows the body. Same concepts. One thing, us. That's it. Okay? So I was actually going to leave on that note. I was going to kind of throw that in with good, but man, you guys, y'all got me today with this one a little bit, man. Some of this stuff is, because I was one of those people, I'll say this to leave out. I was one of those people who didn't deal with my stuff. And I didn't think anybody else was dealing with my stuff because I kept it inside, right? So it just made me a little withdrawn, a little isolated, mean at times, irritable. Yes, I didn't pick up my stuff. And yes, like you guys know, I was also obese. At 350 pounds was my heaviest weight, okay? And so I did start on the physical side because I had that thing in my body called muscle memory, right, where at one point in my life, I was active. I still had a little weight on me, but I was playing volleyball. I was active. I went to the gym. I did little things like that, right? So I was active. So my body knew something and needed something familiar. For me, it was a good thing, that's something familiar that I called on at a certain time in my life when those stressors got too much and I knew I needed to pick up something. Okay, and I didn't want to pick up nobody, right? and again, throw my stressors out there into society. So yes, it's actually what started me running, which started me really saying, okay, I have to do something about my weight. Yes, that was one aspect, but then later followed, right? The running wasn't doing enough, right? The going to the gym wasn't doing enough because I still wasn't picking up my issues. I still wasn't picking up the weight of whatever was going on inside of me mentally, okay? This was like 6-7 years ago. So I actually went to counseling because I was living in Phoenix, Arizona, and I didn't want my family back home, to be stressed about what I was going through, and, I just didn't want to worry anybody. So I said, something's got to give because I couldn't relax. I still had stuff in my nervous system that I did not deal with, and no matter what I did, it did not go away. Y'all feel what I'm saying? Okay? So when I went to counseling and, she was like, still no, you're all right. She said, you got all the tools out there. You just got to figure out what to do with the tools. But she said, most importantly, and she knew that I was a person that she was going to have to prove to me what she meant. All right. So she actually got out a dry erase board, and she drew a few lines. Okay. She said basically that, what I know now is kind of explaining the level of cortisol release. Right. So she says, okay, here, your brain is used to, this is the level where it should be to kind of be relaxed, right? To be cool and to be good and just to go with life, right? She said, but this line up here is where all the stressors come in, and this is how we get, because the cortisol holds. Remember, the cortisol stays with us, right? It just builds up. So I was adapting to all of the buildup. My body was getting used to all of the buildup, okay? And so she was like, so still, again, the cortisol, like she said, it doesn't turn off. It turns on, but it doesn't turn off. And so she was like, you're so used to up here or having to adapt to be up here, you don't know how to be down here anymore. Your nervous system legitimately does not know how to relax. It doesn't know how to come down here because you're so used to having to be here. And I was like, well, so what you saying I got to do? I was a little bit like, what the hell? Well, like, you saying I'm crazy? Like, what are you saying? I'm just stuck crazy that I'm going to be flipping out all my life? No. But so she explaining it to me that way, it made sense. You always in fight or flight mode, you can't relax. You don't know what relaxing is. Not for real. You might go to the movies, or you might go hang out, or you might go to the gym, but you still not picking up the weight. So I had to learn how to pick up the weight. I had to learn how to start to try to deal with things. And as I put a foot forward, other things were coming through to let me know and to solidify those things that I needed to work on. And I started working on picking up my weight here and there, here and there, here and there. And that cortisol release. And I started working out more because I saw results, and I started losing weight. And I'm down 138 pounds right now today because I started picking up the weight, and I started picking up my weight. You feel me? Okay? So this is not just no fluke stuff. It's just, I've given y'all the science behind it. I've given y'all my story behind it. And there's plenty more out there, all right? So we got to start taking care of the mental before it takes care of us physically and in our lives and playing out in ways that we can't retake. You can't take back, okay? We make permanent decisions in situations that are emotional or temporary because we haven't learned to deal with life and picking up our own weight. And it's going to change the course of our lives, right? So we got to learn to start picking up the weight, man. eating right, putting those good things in you, no chemicals, less chemicals in, so that it doesn't affect our nervous system going out. Okay? What goes in got to come out some way. So let's put the good stuff in, get the bad stuff out, and then go get y'all tickets for Vegans Eat, the first one going down October 19th. All right? Eventbrite. Go ahead now. Vegans Eat. And I'm going to see y'all next week with another action-packed show. I love y'all for everything. Peace. See y'all.
Fresh air, break down. Everybody know what I'm trying to do now. Hold it down for my hometown.